and he's going to house it.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another Angle of Pursuit podcast, your NASCAR betting and DFS home. That is Brian Twining. I am Kyle Robert. We're in to talk all things Kansas as we hit the AdventHealth 400. But first, Brian, let's talk a little bit about the week that was, even if it means sharing our atrocious betting cards.
I'm convinced now, like Ryan Blaney, just can't get lucked into a win. At this point, anything that I say, probably do the opposite or fade the pick right now because I am the cooler. I have not gotten basically anything right the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, we should talk a little last week because Ross Chastain.
Dude,
need to
I don't
calm
even know,
down, buddy. He's becoming the Draymond of NASCAR, and like that's when you're winning or being competitive. It's like it's okay. It's not ideal, but we find a way to deal with it. Just don't become the Dylan Brooks. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, the thing about Ross, like, I love the guy. Like, he's fantastic to root for. He's a breath of fresh air in the sport. Like, he's one of us. He's just like a regular guy. He's literally a watermelon farmer. But the thing is like some of the stuff that he does on track is like me playing iRacing at a level that I should not be in because I'm not fully versed in the iRacing, like, unwritten rules. He is making rookie mistakes. He's making more mistakes than Bubba Wallace, who is out here bashing himself when he wrecks. Whereas Ross Chastain comes out there and just says, "Oh, I didn't mean to. I apologize." And I mean, at some point, like, that's not going to be enough.
The one thing I will say is one of his biggest proponents, I guess, one of the big people that speak out against him the most, Denny Hamlin, did basically the same thing like 2 weeks ago and just moved I forget who it was out of the way and
I think
wrecked
it's JJ
him.
Yaley.
Yeah, in like the 10th lap or something. So it's like,
yeah,
should Ross have done that? No. Is he being too aggressive early, too consistently? Yes.
I will say, to me, the difference between the Denny Hamlin instance and what Chastain did there was that Chastain could tell he was immediately behind him, and he knew he was going to be checking up. So there's no reason to try to drive it in so deep into the corner, racing Kyle Larson, who was coming up strong. Like, at that point in the race, just let Larson have the spot and figure it out later in stage 3. We're not even halfway through stage 1, and Chastain is fighting for the 5th spot. Like, it just doesn't make any sense when he decided to do that. If that was, 20 or 30 to go, oh, hell yeah, go for it, man. Like, you got to do what you got to do to try to win or to get spots for playoff points, but not in the first stage.
I do think it is a little more interesting, and we've talked about this with the new car, where it really benefits you to get to the front and get to clean air because that car can pull away. And Chastain's was fast. Chastain looked like one of the best, if not the best car. I was really hoping he was going to get to victory lane. Of course, Truex finds a way to squeeze out the victory, which, shouts to him and to Ryan for a Truex weekend. But yeah, let's look at our betting card and we can cry a little bit together. Harvick, like, my God, was that frustrating?
He was running fine. He was running fine.
I know. That's what I hate about this sport is it's like you could be right. You could have nailed it. You could have expected the perfect outcome. And for most of the race or a lot of the race, you could be absolutely correct. And then something that had nothing to do with anything happens. Your guy is out of the way and all of a sudden your bets are dead. So all the Harvick bets dead. I thought I had a legit shot with Chastain.
Yeah, the Chastain one was a good call. Like, he looked fantastic.
And at 18-1, that's a good number. If that was like 10 or 11, he was right there in the top 5. I probably should have gone a little heavier with like a top 5 or something, but that's okay. Yeah. So lots of blood red here on the card. Not great. Byron had a good race. I thought another guy that was really impressive that could make some serious dents. Of course, Ryan Blaney has a great day and Joey Logano does nothing. And wrecks early and, sitting on the sidelines. It was, when everybody has the driver that if they bet on them, they are trash. And if they bet against them, they're amazing. And I feel like Ryan Blaney is like, I can never get him right. Because I know he's going to be bad. I know he's going to be bad. And then I go, okay, I'm going to back that. And then, nope, he's actually going to be good. He's going to be top 5 and have an amazing race. So, I don't know. It's very
The funny thing about that Ryan Blaney Joey Logano matchup was the fact that historically Joey Logano had absolutely dominated Blaney at Dover, and then all of a sudden it's Ryan Blaney with a fantastic car riding what is now a 3-race streak of finishing 7th or better. So I mean, again, like we're running into situations where it's becoming more and more of a crapshoot from week to week because we're taking a lot of data away from last season's inaugural season with the next gen car, but these guys have made wholesale changes to their vehicles coming into a lot of these races.
And I expect, like, if Blaney's doing good, then Penske's probably having a solid day and Joey Logano's probably having a solid day. So for Logano just to be trash and for Blaney to have an amazing day is kind of a little mind-boggling. So that was frustrating. Daniel Suarez, man, his day was over before it could even get going.
So for me, that was the first point of the race that I wanted to take my watermelon man hat and throw it in the trash, because I am 100% convinced that on that first restart, right before Suarez wound up spinning out, that was because of Chastain diving it in deep, forcing them 3 wide and moving Suarez off of his line going into turn 3, which probably resulted in him being a little bit higher than he wanted to be, being a little bit more on the gas pedal than he should have been, and spinning out and wrecking. Like Chastain's car Suarez's car looked great. Like over the first like 20 or so laps, I was like, okay, as long as Suarez doesn't wreck, he's gonna get this top 10. Like he had the equipment. You could tell at Trackhouse has things figured out. But then of course the psychopath Ross Chastain, like in a video game, is just diving it in the corner, going 3 wide at the first restart of the race.
Yep. So that was frustrating. Josh Berry did get the top 10. That was a nice call. We felt good about that.
We lucked into that one on that last restart.
Times it's better to be lucky than good, because we luck into a lot of bad bets and a lot of bad winners. So a lot of red. Speaking of red, lots of red. Harvick, not so much. Larson top 5 dead before it even started. Harvick, Suarez. Like, I think Josh Berry and Chase Elliott might be the only 2 that actually finished the race, which is impressive work for you. So the nice thing about NASCAR betting, though, is like a win or 2 and all of a sudden we're back in the green. Like I thought I was going to get my day salvaged by Chastain, but that did not happen.
And I think that's like the most frustrating thing for me so far this season is that I think I've hit maybe one outright, and it was a Christopher Bell like plus 650. It was a super short number. So
we had a nice little streak there for a couple weeks where we were hitting outrights, and then that quickly dried out. But it's like with any other like golf betting, it's just it's really to get the winner is the tough part. We gotta really keep focusing on those top 10s on the matchups and hopefully find some value. So here is our DraftKings lineup from the week. Some good stuff. Josh Berry, Ross Chastain, Chase Elliott did not have the day we thought he could have, and there was a lot of people on him with us, so that wasn't ideal. But the Daniel Suarez part crushed, and that kind of sank our lineup. So overall, I think we were onto some of the right pieces. It just the puzzle didn't quite come together like we expected. Any other thoughts before we jump forward into Kansas?
I think the biggest takeaway I had from Dover was how good the Toyotas looked, and this includes Ty Gibbs, who again, I mean, we talked about it as right before the Dover race. Like he has been a lot more impressive than I thought he was going to be this season. He's somebody that's starting to creep into my mind in the betting market. Like this week, we'll see when we look at what the initial numbers are. Like he may find himself on my card for the first time this year. just knowing like how good JGR has been at Kansas, and they looked okay at Vegas earlier this year. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just interesting to see how Toyota has kind of turned the tables here. And then we can't talk about Toyota without talking about the huge news this week that Legacy Motorsports, led by Jimmy Johnson, longtime Chevy driver, is transitioning to the Toyota manufacturer in 2024. So big shout out to the Big T. Both of my cars that I have are Toyotas, so I think it's fantastic. Get a little more representation on track, and this should actually help them at the super speedways too.
Yeah. Let's talk some Kansas. So it's an interesting, obviously, mile and a half. It's got some mini Michigan to it per our guy iFantasy race. It's also got a lot of similarities to Las Vegas. Similar to Phoenix, but Phoenix is a lot more flat. So obviously don't want to take too much into that. But with all that being said, kind of using that as at least my kind of jumping off point this week for how to view these guys. And not surprising, Kyle Larson is your favorite. William Byron is right there. Denny Hamlin, he's 4-1 at Caesars. So if you really like him, 750 at points or at DraftKings and 650 at Bets 365 and PointsBet is pretty dang nice. So he's somebody that's really interesting to me among the favorites. Tyler Reddick is right there, back to him being really popular, and then obviously last week's winner Martin Truex. So of this upper echelon group, Ryan, do you have any interest in any of these guys, or is this you're ready to jump to the next wave, or what are your thoughts?
Like I said, this is becoming more and more of a crapshoot from week to week. Yes, it's like the bigger names that are competing for the victories, and we've had a bunch of different winners this season, but each race is presenting more potential winners than what we saw in the past when there was like maybe one or two guys who came into the week that were just dominant favorites. I mean, in my opinion, I think these numbers are set the way that they are based on what we saw at Las Vegas with Kyle Larson and William Byron. Absolutely paced the field. They led like almost 80%, I believe, or over 80% of the laps in Vegas there. So I think, there's definitely something about those Hendrick cars at this type of track. But with that said, like nobody could have predicted. Well, I mean, I guess some people were on Truex last week, but I mean, from what we had seen out of JGR and Truex in particular leading into last weekend, if you would have told me that Truex would be the fastest guy in stage 3, I would have told you were full of crap. So, I mean, I can't get in on any of these single digit numbers right now. I don't even know if I'm going to go in on the double digits until we see these guys in practice and throw down a qualifying lap, because things have drastically changed from what I had expected early on in the season.
And for especially like guys like Larson, where the number is already so short, the odds of it shrinking even more are pretty narrow. And if it does move, it's not a ton. It's like maybe 4.5, 4-1 at the worst.
I was just gonna say, like, if he comes out and he throws down a super fast qualifying lap and he looks great in practice, and you can get him at 4-1. After seeing that, I would prefer to grab him at 4-1 than grab him before and then have him look like crap during practice and qualifying and hope he figures it out during the race.
Yeah. Larson is incredibly interesting. I know he's 5-1 at his best number, but that is in terms of a guy who's performed well at all these spots. He's performed well at places we didn't expect him to pop. So he's having a strong season after last year's kind of frustrating one.
He's having the William Byron type season.
Yeah.
He's either finishing like inside the top 5 or he's not finishing right now. So
yeah, if someone's not wrecking him, he tends to do well.
Yeah.
Byron is incredibly interesting. Obviously, I was on him for Vegas. I think he was really strong at Phoenix. He's just somebody that I keep gravitating towards, and I'm absolutely happy to go back. So of these guys, Byron is probably the name that jumps out, especially if I can get the plus 750 at DraftKings. I will probably going to take that. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see as we talk this through. So Chris Bell is the last name of that kind of upper echelon group. probably priced a little aggressively for my taste, but I mean, I see why people are doing it.
Yeah, again, like the fact that there's 6, 7 guys with single digit odds goes to show you that the books don't even have an idea, who's going to unload really good and who's going to look great. So, I mean, for me, it's like a wait and see type of thing.
Yeah. The next wave, Chase Elliott, which at double digits is still kind of wild to see. Hasn't been great since coming back from the injury. I don't know if it's just like,
Yeah, I don't know if he's comfortable or what it is.
yeah,
Like
if
he
he's
had
dealing with some
traditionally done well
pain.
at Dover, and he didn't look great there.
Yeah. So a little concerned, but we'll see. I mean, it is a good number. So if you believe in him eventually figuring it out, which I think I do, could be interesting. Ross Chastain, 11, 12, 14. Never going to twist my arm to bet him. Bubba Wallace, obviously won Kansas. Has been really strong, especially at this track type. 14, 16 to 1 is kind of interesting.
Yeah, and people have missed the but if you haven't bet Bubba yet, so apparently at BetMGM you can still get him at 18, but you've missed the boat on the ultimate value because I think he opened at 20 to 1 at DK, which is a crazy number considering he won the fall race at Kansas. But that was in the 45 car, which
Yeah. Just trying to pull up the.
And then I wanted to hit on that was the other one as my brain had a brain fart there. Chastain 14 to 1. With what we've seen Chastain do since the beginning of last season, I still don't understand why he's not opening at that 10 or 9 to 1 number, just like Christopher Bell or Mark Truex Jr. Truex got his first win in 54 races last week, and he's opening at 8.5 to 1. When Ross Chastain, yes, he hasn't won since I think it was the Talladega race or Coda or something last year, but this dude is habitually inside the top 5 and running inside the top 3, competing for wins.
Yeah.
So, I mean, 14 to 1 is a number you should probably jump on in case he does put forth a good qualifying lap.
Yeah, because he has been right there. He's consistently in the the running to finish within the have a shot at the end, which is all you want from your outrights. You want to get as many guys as you possibly can to be within range to actually have a chance to win the race. So I'm with you, especially like if you're debating Bubba at 14 or Chastain at 14. I like give me Chastain all day long.
Yeah. Yeah. At this point, from what we've seen the last 2 years, like I feel a lot more comfortable betting a Chastain at that number, even if this isn't a track that he's historically as good as Bubba at, like, or the track type. It just doesn't make sense to have them at the same number. I feel like the Bubba one is just
Chastain has been a top 10-ish guy and like a 7 to 10 range, and give me the upside of winning the race. I've seen him do it more and more often. Kyle Busch 14, 15, Ryan Blaney up to 16. I'll cut it off there as the next group kind of is more in the 20 to 1 range. So are you interested in Blaney this week? Are you interested in Kyle Busch? I know there was some chatter about him and on Twitter, but I guess where are you at with this little chunk? Obviously, we talked a lot of Chastain and Bubba.
Well, to go along with what our buddy over at iFantasy Race Ryan said earlier today, this is definitely trending towards Ryan Blaney winning the All-Star race again, and that being his only victory of the season. I mean, he's been improving from race to race as we get closer here to the All-Star break, and I mean, it's just going to work out perfectly that he finally reaches the number 1 finishing position at the All-Star race.
Yeah, because it's only like a stage 1 race, so he does great in there.
Exactly.
It's stage 3 where he falls apart. So they made him race the whole time. He would probably do terrible there. Yeah, so I will definitely be betting him at the All-Star race. I'm sure his number will be absurd.
Yeah, and then as far as his number goes, he's looked fantastic, but when you saw what Penske did at Las Vegas, they unloaded fast. Yeah. Single lap speed was tops in the books. However, within 10 laps, him, Logano, and Austin Cindric had fallen like sinkers through the field. And then, Blaney found something late in the race there, but none of them showed, top end speed to even compete basically inside the top 10, late in the race. So there is nothing there from what we saw at the closest track and comparables in Las Vegas this season that makes me want to bet him at even 14 or 15 to 1.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Kyle Busch is somewhat interesting. Obviously, does really well at Vegas. Ran really well in the spring race last year. The fall race, it was weird, but like I don't know what happened, but down the stretch there was, I think, just because of the way the relationship had gone and all that stuff, it had run its course, and it's hard for me to factor those in a ton. As he was kind of already looking for a new ride and obviously was ready to make the move. So interested to go there. Happy to, honestly, like I would be fine taking a couple of these guys and just calling it my card, but we'll see what I end up doing. The 20 to 1 range is interesting. Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano. And then we start talking Keselowski, Suarez, and Ty Gibbs, as you can get up to 40 to 1. Do you like any of the olds, or are you just ready to skip over those three guys and get to like the 30 plus, almost 40 to 1 range?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to go with Logano out of this
group. But we
I
also know Logano at Phoenix, Logano at Vegas, Logano at places, mile and a half. Like
again, though, that goes to the Penske, debacle at Vegas. Like they absolutely took a dump there. And I mean, it's going to take some major tweaks to fix what they did there to come out firing in all cylinders here.
Yeah.
And then Brad Keselowski, RFK has looked fantastic, but I feel like they're more of a top 10 bet team, or, throwing at dart at top 5. And then Harvick, like, I want to see what they bring to the table with SHR practice and qualifying. I feel like that was the downfall last week, just assuming that his history at Dover was going to play out without them being able to make a bunch of tweaks and see where they were starting on the grid based on their qualifying speed. So I'm not really interested in them. Now, Ty Gibbs, I tweeted out like 40 to 1. If you could get that, a small play, a tenth of a unit. He's looked really good. Like,
yeah.
And JGR has been fantastic here, placing 3 of their 4 cars in the top 7, I think it was, in both races last year. Like,
yeah, like I'm like, if I'm betting Gibbs, I'm betting like taking my normal unit or maybe a unit and a half and taking like 80% of that and putting on like a top 5, and then just dabbling on the outright just in case that if he runs hot and then does the right thing at the end, because we see weird stuff happen at the end. All of a sudden he's in victory lane. You want a little piece of that. So maybe you take $100, put 15 on the outright, and the rest on him to finish top 5, or $50 or $20 or whatever you bet. And just kind of, divide that up. I think that could be an interesting way to look at it. Cause he's been a lot more impressive than I think any of us expected in his first full season. He's been consistently flirting with those top 10s and even higher. And, he's a real factor. So at 40 to 1, I don't hate it. Once you start getting into the 30s, I might go down to a Logano at, even 22, but, I don't hate it. I also don't hate Josh Berry. Bowman was really good at this track. That 48 car is set up really nicely. He's proven to be a lot more comfortable, with the big boys, and once again, probably more of a top 5, top 10 type bet. And you take a little piece on the 50 to 1, or 60 to 1 if you got access to that. But I think it's definitely interesting. I think beyond Josh Berry, I don't know that I can get to the outright card on anybody. I mean, if we want to go with the mini Michigan narrative, Eric Jones, 100 to 1, like $1, $5.
Yeah, but the thing is like, I mean, like we let off with, Legacy is going to Toyota, and maybe that it has a lot to do with why they're sucking this season. And Eric Jones hasn't exactly performed at the level that we had expected at some of his past tracks that he's performed really well at. Is that maybe Chevrolet is basically black sheep to them and said, oh, well, you know what? we already knew you were moving, so we're not giving you the kind of support that you need to compete on a week-to-week basis. And I mean, I just haven't seen it out of him. I'm not willing to
it's been a rough season.
dig myself any deeper of a hole that I'm already in on an Eric Jones right now.
Yeah, no, that's completely fair. I'm trying to see, like, this season, he had 6 at Talladega where we expect him to do well, but a lot of like 20, 30, maybe like a 16.
It's been bad.
It's been rough, yeah. Like a top 20 finish is like a win for him at this point, and that's not something either of us kind of anticipated coming into the season. So yeah, I'm just I'm throwing shit against the wall, see what sticks. Let's go to the matchup, see if there's any value. Logano versus Keselowski. I think that juice is justified. Let's see, there we go. Let's see. BetRivers usually has it, and then we'll obviously flip over and see what Caesars has for us today. Byron versus Denny. I mean, it really is bullshit that they give us -114 on both ends. Like, I don't know. The books really want their juice. Yeah. What about Bubba versus Kyle? Like, I like Bubba, and obviously if he runs well, he wins the race. But if we're talking about it, like, his range of outcomes are much wider than Kyle Busch's. I expect Kyle Busch to kind of be there. So, well, -110 to go head to head. That's not bad.
I mean, do you trust Richard Childress Racing right now?
Every week with them, it's like I think have them pegged and I don't. So I'm not really
exactly.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be Nostradamus with that team, but I do trust Kyle Busch. I've seen enough out of him, so I think it's a fine bet.
I will say Bubba Wallace finished 4th at Vegas. So I mean, he's definitely improved on these 1.5s. He won the fall Kansas race. Now, do I think he's going to win again? Probably not. I wouldn't bet on it this week, and I'm not going to. I think the number is a little bit too short for me.
Would you bet on it if you could get a 20?
Oh yeah, if I could have gotten the 20, I would have definitely laid some coin.
So like if qualifying goes poorly, maybe he doesn't do great, maybe you get a shot at, or even like an 18, you'd be interested at that point. But once we're talking
14, when he's 15, like 14-1 at not on a super speedway, I'm not really interested.
Yeah. Ross versus Chase is kind of interesting. I do like Ross. Larson versus Reddick, man, that's even at -125. I think I might be in on that.
The one thing is Reddick's driving the car that won both of these races last year, so
that's true. So what do we make of that? Do we want to give him credit for what could be a leg up, or do we?
It's interesting because we had this same discussion. What race was it? It was at the first road course race when we were talking about, was it the car or was it Tyler Reddick? And clearly it was Tyler Reddick at the road courses that is good, not just the 8. But last year we saw both Kurt Busch and Bubba Wallace win at Kansas. And, clearly the team, the 45 team, or, just 2311 in general, they have something on the field in terms of how to set that car up for this track. So, I mean, I think this definitely favors Reddick in that sense.
I think that's a good point.
But I'm not going to bet against Kyle Larson, who, honestly, if he does not get wrecked last week, I think he absolutely steamrolls the field.
Yeah. It's hard to get on. Look at that. Josh Berry is a favorite over Chase Briscoe, and probably for good reason.
That's so sad.
Briscoe's another guy. Like, he's in the Eric Jones bucket of we just expected more, and it just has not come.
And he took an absolute dump.
Let's go to top 10s. I'm sure the numbers are really, really gross, but is it just pretty much Caesars? Because if that's the case, then I'll just
Caesars. BetMGM has top 10s too.
Okay, I'll pull up Caesars, and if you see on BetMGM that are appealing, man, look at Reddick, 7-1. That's crazy.
The top 10? Oh,
No, to win.
Yeah. I told you.
Future bets?
Yeah.
Top 10. Show all. All right. So yeah, lots of gross numbers. And of course you can't parlay them because why would you want to be able to build out a nice card? Kyle Busch minus 140 is interesting.
He's minus 185 at BetMGM, so there's definitely some value there. The one for me, the first one that popped to me was Kevin Harvick minus 105. It opened at plus 105. It's clearly, seeing some steam towards the other side of even money. Harvick is always a threat to top 10. I think he has 6 top 10s in the last 10 at this track. He's not great. He didn't run great at Las Vegas, but I'm pretty sure he cracked the top 10 this year. And he's just kind of he's that driver where if he doesn't have a tire go down like he did last week, he's going to cash the top 10 bet. I mean, again, you're just hoping that the NASCAR gods don't decide to F everybody over and just allow him to run his race, and he's going to top 10.
Yeah.
He's not going to race himself out of a top 10. I guess what I'm trying to say. Whereas a lot of other drivers, they'll put themselves into situations that cost them that finishing position.
Yeah. No, I think that's a perfect way to put it. I think that makes a lot of sense. I am adding 2 top 10s as we sit here. Josh Berry top 10 at plus 180 and Ty Gibbs top 10 at plus 140. We talked about both those guys. Obviously, I like the Berry number. I think actually a little bit better, especially because I'm getting an extra 40 points. But
you can get Berry at 2-1 at BetMGM, by the way.
Oh, give it to me, baby.
Yeah, way better.
What's Gibbs over there? Is he about the same?
Plus 160 actually.
Oh, well then let's ride with that. That is why you always shop it, folks, because you can get better numbers over there. Beyond there, I mean, Eric Jones at 325 is interesting, but we talked about how much he's been sucking. Not trusting RCR.
So the only other top 10 that I think I'm gonna add
is BJ McLeod. Oh wait, is he not racing?
No, absolutely not. So at BetMGM, you can get this guy at 1.25 more than what he's listed at here at Caesars, and that's Chris Buescher. He's plus 275 at Caesars top 10. You can get him at 4-1 over at BetMGM, and he's not really a top 10 guy here. I mean, he's only got 2 in the last 10, but in 3 of the last 4, he's finished 15th or better. 2 of them being an 8th and a 12th place run. I mean, RFK has been pretty good this year. They've shown some decent speed. He didn't do all that fantastic at Las Vegas, but in terms of dart throws, 4-1 on a guy who has been driving pretty damn good for a team that has definitely found something versus last year, I think is a good value early in the week.
Well, and we've just seen RFK, like even at places they aren't traditionally expected to perform as amazingly, have found ways to be really, really strong. So I like that call. I won't be joining you on it because I do have a little concern, but I think it makes sense. Looking at top 5s, Tyler Reddick, excuse me, even money. Truex plus 110, Hamlin plus 110, Chastain at plus 160 is really compelling. Bubba Wallace plus 190 to top 5. What's he over at MGM?
Plus 190 to top 5.
They might not have top 5s over there.
Let's see. No, they do. He's 275.
Bubba? Give it to me. Give it to me.
Yeah, that's even better. He's only plus 145 at BetRivers. That's crazy.
These books do not want to get murdered. What's Josh Berry over there?
The top 5?
Uh-huh.
So he's plus 750 at DK.
Taking it.
It's so crazy the numbers, how different.
Okay. All right.
All right. Okay, I am going to add a top 5 here, and it's sure to not hit. It's found over at BetRivers, but Denny Hamlin plus 145 to top 5.
That's a good
6
number.
top 5s in the last 10 at Kansas. He's finished top 5 in 3 straight here. He won twice back in fall of 2019, spring of 2020. And the Toyotas, again, like I said, they looked absolutely incredible here last year. So I think Hamlin, who has gotten a little bit better as the season has gone on, riding the coattails of Martin Truex Jr.'s win last week, I think can find his groove here at Kansas and finish inside the top 5.
So work with me here. Bubba Wallace top 5 is 275. To be top Toyota is 6-1.
Okay, so I think that's the situation we ran into last week with the Hendrick guys, where it was you're assuming that all of the Toyotas are going to be absolutely incredible. So they're all going to finish, near that top 5 mark.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Bubba could be top 5, but he could be fourth
he could be the
behind
4th Toyota.
Yeah, he could be behind Bell and Reddick and Hamlin. All of a sudden, he's finishing fourth, but fourth of 4 Toyota. So that makes sense. But that 6-1 number is compelling for sure.
Honestly, I think it'd be fun to just go in and same unit plays on Denny, Truex, and Bubba to top Toyota, to where as long as Ty Gibbs, Christopher Bell, and Tyler Reddick don't top any or don't wind up finishing first, you make out a winner there.
Yeah, like I'd much rather bet Reddick at plus 310 to be top Toyota than to bet him at like 7-1 to win the race.
Yeah, because he could finish second and be the top Toyota.
Yeah,
and
Larson could dominate all day. Ty
Yeah.
Gibbs or Ty Reddick could be right there, and you're still cashing your plus 310. Yeah, that Reddick number at plus 310 and the Bubba at plus 6-1 are both really, really compelling. Trying to keep myself mellow, especially as we sit here on a Wednesday when we see a lot of other stuff break down. But I might miss the best of the number, but I think that's the thing I have to deal with. Anything else you're seeing that you really want to make sure we chat about? Because
let's look at the matchups on Caesars, because I don't think they show. Yeah, they don't show those on
featured or scheduled.
Scheduled.
So Jones versus Almirola. Almirola's
I'm not
really
touching
good
that
at
with a
Phoenix.
10-foot pole.
Yeah, it's SHR. Harvick versus Keselowski. Bell versus Hamlin. Bell at plus money versus Hamlin is fine.
I think that's a good. I mean, I'm not going to do it just because I'm so high on Denny, but I think that's a good value because you're getting a guy who finished 5th and 3rd at the Kansas races last year versus a guy who has finished top 5. Top 5. What is it? For 3 straight times. He finished 1 spot ahead of Bell in both races last year. But I mean, all it takes is a fraction of a second slower pit stop, or a slight mistake of getting wrapped up with Ross Chastain battling for position to have Chase or have Christopher
That
Bell
will
pass
happen. Just verifying something I was looking at. Yeah, so you can get, I guess it's the same number. Chastain is a little bit of an underdog against Chase Elliott. I kind of like the Reddick, but like minus 115, like why are you just do minus
Yeah,
110?
I'm not a fan of those. It's hard to get in on that unless somebody has a clear advantage.
Yeah.
I'm really not willing to waver off even that.
Yeah, I
even
need
minus
plus money to
110
bet a lot of
sometimes.
these, and even then, it's tough.
Yeah.
What about Ty Gibbs at minus 105 versus Daniel Suarez? Or Bubba at minus 105 versus Ryan Blaney?
No.
Not doing it.
Bubba would take both of them out, and somehow NASCAR would decide that they finished the same exact spot. Like, that's just the way that would go.
Yeah, no, you're probably onto it.
There was one that I had seen. I'm trying to think. I think it was a Chris Buescher matchup.
Chastain, Elliott, Logano, and Kyle Busch.
Yeah, so the matchup I wanted to, I was pretty intrigued by is AJ Allmendinger versus Corey LaJoie.
Love it.
Like, if we're gonna get wild here, you could get Corey LaJoie, who is absolutely crushing it this season, by the way. You could get him at plus 125 to finish ahead of AJ Allmendinger, who, I mean, what are we getting on a week-to-week basis out of Kaulig? We really have no clue. And at this stage of the season, for my money, I would say LaJoie is driving better than both Kaulig cars. And, you know, I think they're probably pretty even coming into this week. And LaJoie has been damn good, and he's riding a better streak than Allmendinger. So, I mean, it's got to favor him coming into the weekend.
No, I think you're spot on there. I think that's a good call. Yeah, and I just
I'm gonna do it.
I trust RFK more week to week than I do the Dinger. All right. So right now, as we sit here, I have 4 bets on my card. I have Josh Berry to top 5 at plus 750. I have Bubba to top 5 at plus 275. Berry to top 10 at 2-1, and Gibbs top 10 at plus 160. Brian has Hamlin to top 5, Harvick to top 10, Buescher to top 10, and LaJoie over the Dinger. So I think all those make sense. I am looking in terms of outrights. Byron is the one that's most appealing. Obviously, that Chastain number, we should probably get on that, huh, Brian? That feels like a number that could be gone.
Yeah, the only thing I worry about Chastain, like we've talked about this before with him, is that he doesn't necessarily qualify great, and so the number's not going to move.
Yeah,
off
but
of that very much. I mean,
14. Do you think we get a 16 or 17 or?
No, absolutely not. You know, for what it's worth, though, he did qualify 11th and 5th here last year. So I mean, if he puts his car in the top 10,
to
like,
the betting card, Ross
Chastain.
Chastain. I can't help myself.
I'm riding with you there.
God, R.I.P. Where is he? 14, and you're not interested in the Hamlin number at plus 750?
No, I want to see what he brings to the table for practice.
Okay.
Because even if he puts it on pole, what's he going to be? 6-1?
I could see him being 5, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but honestly, I don't think the books are going to move him to the same level as a Larson, who say Larson and Byron put it 2nd and 3rd, and Hamlin qualifies on pole. Hamlin, I doubt, is going to move equal or even with them.
That's fair.
At least, at least the way I'd be looking at it.
So as we sit here now, Brian, you have 5 bets on your card. Is there a 6th bet for your best bet, or do you have one currently sitting there that you're gonna make your best bet for this week?
Well, I'm gonna do it again. Like, I'm an old fart. I consider myself the old man. I'm gonna ride the old man, Kevin Harvick, to top 10. My best bet right now. I just have too much faith in this guy that as long as his tire doesn't freaking fail again, he's going to, at least crack that number. So I'm gonna go with a 3-unit play there early in the week, minus 105. Buddy. He might get a better number if he doesn't qualify well, which I'll just go back to the well and hit it again.
Yeah. I think I have mine. Let's see here. No, not top 20. Ooh. Remember when top 20s were a thing for like 5 minutes?
I so miss those.
They're the best. So is minus 134 the best I can get on a Kyle Busch top 10?
That's pretty good. Yeah, I believe so. Because I don't think. Oh, did you see? Oh, Kevin Harvick even money at BetRivers. I'm changing that.
Do it. So Ty Gibbs and Josh Berry are really compelling, but minus 134 on a Kyle Busch top 10. Welcome to the betting card. 4-unit play at
Woo! Kyle
BetRivers.
back in Kyle.
I don't mind the 140. That's similar enough. I don't think I would go anything above minus 150. I think you're just too much juice at that point. But yeah, I think Kyle Busch has another strong week. I don't know that he necessarily wins, but I think he'll be strong and be contending most of the day, and you probably are going to end up with the top 10. So that is my best bet as we sit here on Wednesday recording this. Brian and I will be back this weekend. Brian, are you going to be coming to us from fabulous Las Vegas? Or are you going to be...
Yes, I am. Once
All
again
right.
at my home away from home.
Brian's annual weekly pilgrimage to the city of the lights. I think he just wants to bet NASCAR, and honestly, I don't blame him. So Brian will be live from Vegas, but we will be here. We will be in your feed as soon as possible. It kind of, we wait for once qualifying's done. It usually takes a little bit of time. We get on the mic and record and try and get it out to you as soon as possible. Obviously, if we can get it Saturday night, we will try our best to do that. Probably Sunday morning. Appreciate everybody who's been jumping on. Everybody's been hitting the subscribe button. If you have yet to do that and you've been watching, really appreciate if you did that. We're marching towards 1,000 subs, and if we get there, we'll try and do something special. We'll figure something out for that milestone. Let us know down in the comments your favorite bet for Kansas. It could be an outright, it could be a head-to-head, it could be top 5, it could be top Toyota, it could be whatever you want it to be. But we're looking for information and thoughts there. A lot of people who watch the show are incredibly smart. Get us on the right track. Please do that. Mash the thumbs up if you have yet to do that. Make sure you're subscribed so you know when the video goes live, and we'll talk to you next time.